right. Who are we missing? Boogie.
Boogie.
Yes. Invited you, Boogie, but then somehow it came up that you declined. So let's see if we can get you in. We'll get there. We'll get there. All
Oh,
right.
we're like legit on stream right now.
Yes, something just
Hey,
happened.
crowd.
We are.
How's it going?
Yes, we are. Okay.
Sweet.
SC, can you make sure Boogie gets in? And we're going to go ahead and
Oh,
get
yeah.
started. Okay.
She's here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to PinkPixels. Thank you to this group for being here. Had a couple issues with the tech, but that's the world in which we live these days. So appreciate your patience. I'm Rebecca Dixon from the gamehers. Really excited to be kicking off a new season of PinkPixels. And what better way to do it than with some of the winners from the gamehers Awards 2025. So thank you all for coming. It's great to be here. To kick off our PinkPixels first episode, it's season 3. We have the Esports Excellence in Esports winners, and a handful of them, and really just honored and thrilled to have all of you here. I'm also really excited that I know all of you. I feel like one of the things that I've had, I mean, personally, and one of the things that I'm so grateful for and had such an opportunity to do over the past few years at the gamehers is really get to know sort of, the superstars in our industry. And I'm personally really honored to be here. So one of the things that's important to us at the gamehers is making sure that what we're doing is actually valuable and providing opportunities for, amplification of what everybody in our community and beyond is working on, and also connections. So what I thought that would be a great way to start this off is to let each of you just have a few minutes to share a little bit about yourself, what your connection is with the gamehers, what this award means to you. You can be, you can sort of have a moment just to take the stage and share what's most meaningful. And then we'll get into some more, some discussions about what the future might look like, and where we see things going in our industry. So Naya, what do you think about kicking it off?
Yes. Okay. Sure. Sorry, I lost my cursor to unmute. But hello, everyone. My name is Naya. I go by Bingy as my gamer tag. And I've been a part of the gamehers. I'm gonna like qualify since 2022 when I first met Sheridan from the collegiate side. She came and boothed at UCI, and that was where I first got introduced to the organization. But apart from that, I've also was a previous winner last year for the top collegiate org of the year, which was acknowledging my work as a student org, now startup, that I founded called the Black Gaming Society. And our whole mission is to empower Black gamers. And I do a lot of workshops, just kind of working with youth, especially of color, to share my journey in navigating the collegiate esports space. I've earned like upwards of like 30K, getting near there, especially as we round out this final semester of my graduate program. I've earned 30K in scholarships for playing video games and running this whole organization, and kind of building a community around Black collegiate esports. So I currently also play on the varsity Overwatch team at Cal State Long Beach. So this is my jersey. Yay! And I play flex support for Team Black. So my characters I play, sorry, I know it's kind of a lot, but I mainly play Kiriko. I play a lot of flex support, so Juno, Ana, characters like that, pretty much whatever the team needs. I've peaked Grandmaster 1, top 500, top 247 to be exact, on the competitive ladder several seasons ago. But I also still maintain like masters, grandmasters as much as possible, while I balance my entrepreneurial journey and school, where that kind of fits in. But yeah, that's a little bit about me, and I'm pretty sure we'll dig into more as we progress. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Naya. It's been so wonderful to watch your journey, and I'm just really excited to have a chance to spend some time with you again. All right. I'm just going around on my screen. Julie.
You're
Oh,
muted.
You're
can't hear
muted,
you.
Julie.
Oh,
User
there we are.
error.
Hey,
There we go.
there we go. Totally user error. Hi, sorry, I'm Julie Maver George. I first found out about the gamehers actually on Twitter. I saw a post about this was back in 2021, late 21, 22. About the Gamehers Guardians and like ambassador program, and I was like, I want to be a part of this. So I did a little bit of research to dig into what the Gamehers was, what the mission is, and kind of the support that is provided, and thought, okay, this is a great opportunity just to get to know other women in the space and femme-identifying individuals, and just a way again to lift up and for us to have a voice, because we are underrepresented in many industries, but especially in gaming and esports. So I too am a previous winner. I was the Gamers Guardian of the Year last year. So thank you again for that honor. And in the space, what my passion is helping schools, districts, organizations create sustainable esports programs. I think too many pop up, they're not for the wrong reason, but not with goals or student outcomes in mind. And it's so important, especially with the neurodivergent population that is attracted to esports in particular, that we have sustainable programs that will hold them, hold their interest and provide for them the space to be able to flourish and shine and become the leaders they're meant to be. And so that's kind of my why. And currently I own my own business. I left a school district a little over a year ago. So I started JDog Mav Consulting to essentially do just that. So I've helped districts all across the US, from LA to New York to Atlanta, and some international organizations and schools as well, just, to try to provide that opportunity for students to feel connected to their school, to each other, build community, and find the resources they need to find great careers.
I love that. And so much of what you're doing is aligned with kind of the exact mission of what we're doing at the Gamers, just being able to, I mean, even the fact that you're such a role model in owning your own business. We have so many people in our community who, would like to own their own business, would like to figure out how to do that and what that even looks like. So one thing I'm excited to talk about is sort of like the path that got us all to here. And that reminded me of that. Also, the focus on neurodiversity is something that's near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons. And I think that I'm just so glad that it's something we're talking about a lot more, publicly. So yeah, thanks for all of your work, Julie. And it's so great to see you. Jen.
Yes. Well, first, Rebecca, thank you so much for getting us all together. It's really was an honor to really completely unexpected to be among these other amazing women in this award. So I'm Jen Dawson. I'm an esports specialist at CDW. So I first met the Gamers, about 3 years ago when our companies crossed paths, and learning more about them and how we can help bring the community together and share that also with our customers in the education space. And then I also personally then, after meeting Rebecca and the team, was like, well, I'm going to join this also for personal reasons as well, because I love to game. So it's been really cool to see how this has blossomed just in that short amount of time that I've known them. And Leonie, if you're watching, I miss your face. But it's been really great. And one of my passions, with this, I mean, kind of similar to Julie, working with school districts all across the country, from our K-12 to our higher education, and helping be that advisor for them around these programs. And Julie and I talk a lot about this. We want to make sure that the programs are done right, because the worst thing that can happen is they buy hardware, they throw it in, and they're like, cool, good luck. And it's like, well, now you're just babysitting these kids. But if you do it right, this is a total game changer for these kids. So like Naya, that $30,000 in scholarships is just completely outstanding and amazing and well-deserved. And so, making sure that these other students know that they can go on to higher education. And, we may not be trying to, turn them into pro gamers. And if they follow that path, that's great, but helping them find their passions, and even better when it can be in the industry that they're passionate about. So that's kind of where I fit into that little weird puzzle of everything.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. I think it's so interesting, and it's just really neat timing that we're here having this conversation. One of the reasons I love doing having discussions like this too is that we do all kind of sit in a broader, underneath a very broad umbrella, right? We intersect in different ways. But sometimes people, whether it's students or people who are in the industry, don't even know what opportunities might exist, or where they can, partner, where they can access funding, or the best way to do it. And so we've got some exciting initiatives coming up at the gamehers after a very long time of sort of exploring the educational landscape and where we can be valuable. And I'll be really excited to get input from all of you as we launch that over the course of the next few months. But cool, let's keep going with the intros, and then we'll move on. Danielle?
All right. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow those three. They're pretty amazing. Like they're doing some amazing stuff. So I guess I started in healthcare, and one of the things I have not actually shared on any message is when I worked at the hospital, we started in our peds. I worked in an ER, and in the peds section, we actually launched a bunch of gaming systems, and all of the actual logins lied with me, and they still lie with me, and I haven't been there in like 6 years. So I'm not sure if they're actually being used, but we were launching game systems for the kids to be able to play while they're, this is one of their, first of all, for anyone, it's a vulnerable time to be in a hospital. But kids need, distraction. So gaming was a part of my life. And then I had a friend tell me about esports, and I took the jump. And I started at Lawrence Tech, and I worked with a lot of schools within Detroit, because I was in the Metro Detroit area, helping them grow and realizing, hey, like, you're not late to the game, you're like right on time. In fact, there are a lot of other schools that are late to the game, but you're doing great there. And then that I started an MBA program, started my MBA program. I'm not that cool, but I ended up getting recruited to work here at Florida Tech. And so we are a partner school with the gamers, because naturally I've been kind of know about them for the last several years. I was a finalist for some awards. I guess I didn't really say that I'm on the board of directors for NACE. I am one of the founding members of these 4 amazing people. I guess that 3 other amazing people for Esports and Coffee. And just like, I continue to do it because I still remember playing games and people being like, that's for boys. Why are you doing this? And even when I took the esports job, my family thought I was like, are you throwing your life away? Like, are you going to get health insurance? And I'm like, let's look at the greater idea that I'm working for a university. And if it was a swimming coach, you'd be like, holy crap, you got this job. So I'm getting all those same perks and end up get to do something amazing. So that's part of where I am. That's why I told you I'm
Yeah.
not as cool as the others ladies.
I disagree. I think your story is actually so unique and interesting because it really you highlighted a few things. One is the opportunity to work in what you also have a passion for is, I think some people think it seems impossible, but it's not. There's so many different roles. And yes, you're working for a university, and that's a pretty incredible thing to be able to say, and sort of support system to be a part of. And yeah, we're really excited that you're one of our partner schools, and look forward to more on that. So Boogie, you want to close us out?
Alrighty, let's see what I can do. Hi guys, my name is Boogie. So my fun fact, I never really tell people. So my real name is Rachel. I go by Boogie. That's why if you see me in the app, it's like Ray Boogie. That's who I am. Whatever. What do? I do a lot. So I am a Apex coach in Sister Shooters. And I'm also the COO alongside with Mauricia, who's the CEO of it, and we are an esports readiness program. I've been working with getting back into the Apex field. I've been competing myself and helping the ladies that's in Overwatch. They're doing their first, I want to say like a series of Overwatch tournaments. So helping them out as far as with VOD reviews, game and play. I'm not, top 500 like Naya, okay? I'm not top 500, but I do know just like the ins and outs of how games go when it comes to playing competitively and in tournaments. I have done a few Apex Invitationals with the grant earnings of, I think I'm at 3K now. I reside in DC, and I'm trying to find a way to bring esports into the District of Columbia because it's not really a lot here. So that's why my journey is kind of like everywhere else. And just trying to build that up. I have become a mentor to a lot of people in my community when it comes to Apex, rivals, or just shooters all around as far as the main mechanics like rotations, things like that. Other than that, I've been trying to stay busy, honestly. I've been trying to find ways that either it can help me get to where I need to be or just a stomping ground of that. And with me getting back into Apex and competing more, I'm getting back into my main things. I had masters before, and I had friends to play with, and then solo queuing kind of like took me on a rut where I took a break. So now I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, being more competitive, finding my team, finding a team, and just trying to live my best life. It's the best I could do.
Well, I think you're doing a pretty great job so far, and I'm really thrilled to have all of you here. And I think that we've all heard the concept of if you see it, you can be it. And I know that the Gina Davis Gender Institute, which has done a lot of work in movies, is now doing a lot of things in gaming. And so this is just a great example of a group of people who all do sort of different things, have very unique pathways. And so sort of on that note, I'd love to, and I'm gonna like just put a few sort of conversation starters out there, and anybody can jump in and we can kind of see where the conversation takes us. But I'd love to hear what's something that that and anybody can answer this, that you do or that you did to get where you are that would sort of surprise people, and or that that might be unique. And I can go first. So my background is well, it's very circuitous how I got here. I live in New York now. I have 3 kids. I worked in the corporate world for about 10 years in media and advertising, and then really wanted to sort of get back in touch with my wanting to build something, an entrepreneurial spirit, and also that aligned with the time that I became a parent. So my first venture into the world of kind of small business entrepreneurship was not in gaming at all. But it was in community building. It was with a company called Mommy Bites, and it was a community for expectant and new parents. And I learned so much about, I think, and a lot of these things still ring true today. It's we as people like to find like-minded people and grow together and build each other up. And long story short, after that business, we were able to sell that. My kids were older. I was kind of looking around at what would be fun and like an opportunity to do next. And I started learning a lot about the video game industry broadly, not even necessarily from as much a personal perspective, but like, you know, as you all know, half of people who play games are women, you know, basically. And I just felt like, I wonder if there's, you know, an opportunity to support that in some way. And I think that asking that question is still what I do every day. Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel at the Gamehers and go do something that other people are doing, but I think there's some common threads where we can sort of amplify what's happening and make some connections. But the things that are like unique about me is that when I graduated from college many years ago, and I was a math major and I double majored in vocal performance. I love to sing still. It's one of my biggest hobbies. And I really don't think that at that time I would have ever seen myself right here in this moment. It would have been hard to picture. But what I always like to say is that, you know, if you just sort of continue to follow what feels like might be the right path, even if it might not be some people don't necessarily know like what's your dream. But I think connecting with people has always been what has served me well. And you know, and working hard and getting enough sleep and all of that. But yeah, so a very open-ended question, but path that got you to where you are today, or unique things that you did behind the scenes or do. So that's it. Who's up?
Well, I can jump on this grenade. So, because mine was really weird. You know, and I'll put some stuff out there because I'm almost 40 years old. The jobs that exist today did not exist when I was first going to school. And so, you know, I've been a gamer all my life. My first, you know, game console was an NES. I had like 30 games that got brought home in a cardboard box, most of them trash. But I've been a gamer all my life. And so that was always just a fun hobby. And so when I got, you know, I gamed all through high school and into college and everything. And then I ended up actually learning to teach English, and I went overseas and taught in Cambodia and Thailand. And so, you know, had that job with teaching. And when I got back into the States, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Wasn't really sure. And so then I got into tech because I've always been a bit of a hardware nerd. And so that was really fun. And I, you know, did that for a long time and just kept growing. And so the reason that I wanted to kind of bring that up is, you know, especially for all of our younger people that are still out there, don't know what you want to do. That's okay. Figure out what your kind of passions are along the way, because I guarantee, kind of same thing with myself, the jobs that are going to exist in the future are going to be completely different than what's available right now. So you can only predict so far. I mean, we always try, and we try to make sure that we're ready, but really find out what those things are that you're passionate about. Because for me, it still is teaching, and I just happen to teach teachers now. And so, you know, having still that, I get to do some different things with my creativity, because I do a lot of webinars and podcasts and presentations, which that brings out my inner drama nerd, which, you know, that's a whole thing. And so, you know, I've now kind of gotten into this point in my life that I do have a job that I really do enjoy. And it's because I get to take all of these different elements and put it out there. And if you would have asked me, you know, 20 years ago when I was going to school, never in a million years would I have been, you know, telling myself, hey, yeah, you're gonna be able to talk about video games all day. No, you know, that's part of it. There's other things, but still, it's, you know, again, that's my advice to anyone else as well, is be curious, keep continually learning. You're always going to need to be learning new things. And you never know where that road's going to lead you, because mine definitely was all over the place, including the other side of the planet before I came back and started, you know, getting into tech. So it was definitely a weird journey, but I wouldn't change anything about it, except, you know, if I maybe knew what some lottery numbers were. But other than that.
I love your advice about keep learning. And I think that we're really lucky to be in a time when it is kind of easy to learn. You know, I mean, of course you need to be thoughtful about if you're really trying to get certified in something, but if you just kind of want to understand what something is, I mean, sometimes if I go to listen to somebody talk and they're, let's say, giving a talk on whatever topic, and I don't know what they're talking, I mean, I just sit there with like Google open and I'm like, what's this? And you know, it's so easy to, and YouTube has so many resources, and I feel really lucky to live in a time where it's not, there's so much potential education to, you know, consume quickly. And so that's kind of fun.
I don't want to brag.
Anybody else want to jump in on that one? Or
Yeah, I don't want to brag, but I turned 40 before Jen next month. Uh, So that makes me officially ancient in the esports world. So, senior citizen status. Do we get our AARP esports checks now?
We should.
Right. So I used to play Unreal Tournament in the library back when before the internet was as aggressive as it was now. So they made like LAN parties in the like a back shore, and so I kind of never competed in actual esports, but I always played like competitive games. So I often tell the story that the thing that really I guess I should say I was a patient advocate in the emergency room, so I did a lot of PR stuff, oddly enough, and so and conflict resolution, which I never thought that actually would help me in esports, but it ends up helping me down the road. But um, I was playing Destiny. I worked midnights and I played Destiny at night with a group of people from the ER because we stayed on the same schedule all the time. And his wife, my friend Jason, who was a nurse, his wife worked at Lawrence Tech and said, "Hi, we started this program, and it took a pause during COVID, and it was still COVID, by the way. It took a pause, and so we want to launch the program. So if you would like to apply, here, no pressure." And so I read the like job description, and I was like, this is not a real thing, right? Because I was, working in healthcare. My family, I didn't mention I'm a first generation college student. And so college isn't a thing for anyone. It's like, go work in healthcare because that's safe, go be a teacher because that's safe. So I was like, okay, I guess this is worth trying. Funny enough, even that job paid me more than a patient advocate in a level 1 trauma center. And so I ended up taking the leap. And I am an extreme overachiever. So the last 3 years of working at Lawrence Tech, we were the fastest growing team. We're the second best performing marketing wise, next to football. And that was all done entirely by us without like big pushes from marketing. And all of those things kind of led me to, I have to give shout out to Sari in the chat because I remember telling her that I wanted to get an MBA. I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't think I could do it because, like no one in my family did it. So no one in my family got a bachelor's degree, but why, silly me, why would I underestimate myself? And so she was like, you already know all this stuff. You just don't know you know the verbiage. And I think that you'll learn more about yourself than you actually will in the program, which I learned both about stuff. Big shout out to project management. I love that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the path that brought me to this moment. And I ended up in leadership positions the entirety of me working in esports. My board seat is up, and this will be the first time I haven't, stepped into or haven't been a part of direct leadership. My assistant director who's watching I'm pushing her to be the next person to step into leadership because it's kind of like a pass the torch moment. I learned a lot in the last few years, and I just, it's invaluable lessons in some of this stuff.
Can I brag on Danielle real quick? So when I came out to visit her and she showed me around her space, which is amazing, by the way. So if you're ever down in the Florida Tech area, definitely go take a tour. Her girls. So her leadership skills and how she has elevated these girls to help, with the program. And I don't want to misspeak to what their exact titles were because I'll probably get it wrong, but just they were so impressive. And it really speaks volumes to Danielle's leadership skills to be able to elevate them and to feel so confident. And I was just blown away. And it also made my heart really happy because again, stuff can so easily turn into a boys club. And so to see women in positions of leadership, and then as well as her instilling that into the team there, it was amazing. Because we all went out to lunch, which was great. And then they were right back to work. They were on it and they were like, nope, we need to get this done. We need to get this done. And I was just like, again, just blown away. And again, that speaks just volumes to what Danielle's been doing down there with their program.
Hey, they're amazing people. I guess I don't know if this is a real fact. I should look it up, but we have to be one of the only programs that's ran by 2 women as a director and assistant director. Like, I don't, tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. I'm not sure that there are any.
Even if you are wrong, we're gonna make it right.
Thanks.
That's
Yeah. I mean,
That's
if
impressive.
there's another one that's great too, but it's just really impressive. And what an incredible role model. And thank you for saying that, Jen. I think that was really cool. And
Yeah, you're gonna make me cry.
yeah.
Hey, you left me teary-eyed, so I'm just returning the favor, you know?
Yeah. Anna's
All
great.
right.
She's listening. She also won an award, and she'll be on the stream because I'll make her. She's you can't hear her laughing, but she's laughing.
I love that. Well, if anyone else wants to jump in with on this topic, feel free, or I can throw a couple of other fun ideas. Yeah, go for it, Naya.
Yeah, because I kind of want to talk about my generation of esports, because I feel like I am in a very unique timeline for where I'm at, even though I happen to be younger and like the other people here, we've all kind of played games our whole life. But when I came into college, I started community college when I was 17 in 2017, 2018-ish. Well, 2017. But there was no esports programs or collegiate esports. All this stuff was very much unheard of. The only thing that existed was UC Irvine. That was the destination that popped up when, me and my mom sat down and Googled what the heck can this girl do with gaming. I started my semester thinking I was going to be a veterinarian and I'm deathly allergic to animals, so how is that going to work? But I feel like, or UCI was the school that popped up, and it immediately became the destination for me to go to, because they were the first and only public university to have an esports program of its kind that spoke the language of what this whole world kind of is. And at the time, I was madly obsessed with the Overwatch World Cup, which later transitioned into the Overwatch League. And I was just gobsmacked, this is what I need to do and be in and be a part of in any way possible. Which, if you had talked to 11 or 12-year-old Naya, or even younger, and she were to see me today, she would be like, girl, what is happening in this world? Did things really fall off kilter? What do you mean you do stuff with gaming and play games all day and talk to people? I mean, I think it's a Jen, right? Like you said, we do more than that, but it was just the way that my life kind of is now is pretty much a dream of what 11-year-old Naya kind of felt. But in the time that I was in school, so when I graduated in 2023, now there's almost 1,000, or might be capping at that, of collegiate programs across the whole nation and across all of North America and Canada, and largely even the world nowadays. So just in the time that I started my college journey and then finished my bachelor's degree, has this whole world kind of radically transformed. But with that too, there hasn't really been any kind of linear path for me to kind of walk on. So I actually majored in anthropology in undergrad, and now I'm getting my master's in sports management, which I'll get to shortly. But those things are very odd for kind of being in this space. Anytime that I mention gaming to counselors or teachers or just family friends who were interested in what I was into, they would always be like, oh yeah, go do computer science. But I knew I didn't want to make games. Oh, I knew I didn't really want to spend hours away or slaving away my life coding and things like that. But that didn't mean that I didn't have a space or didn't belong within the larger picture of gaming, because it's so much more than just development. And so those are all different barriers that I've kind of had to overcome and still kind of have to face as I'm still kind of breaking my way into my young professional life. And well, yeah, as my early career. I think I'm a little bit past young professionals, my mom would say, but you know, I'm still kind of figuring things out, but there is no like linear trajectory. And so, you know, that's a little scary. And as we've kind of touched on previously, like that's kind of my mom's biggest fear. And she has like 2 master's degrees, so the expectation is I have at least one. I, you know, also maybe want to pursue an MBA or PhD at this point. But you know, at the time I am wrapping up my master's degree in sports management, which has been like, was also kind of a weird touch point because I was looking at MBA programs, I was looking at law programs, thinking about like, you know, what can be applicable or useful for either working behind the scenes, like with the actual teams and the franchises of the actual leagues, or within the collegiate space as well, and like more the administrative side. And again, like there, it doesn't show up as like you could do esports on the pamphlets that they hand you, right? So you know, those things are like challenges that I've kind of faced and trying to navigate. But I also think I've been very strategic, and I am very grateful for the decisions that I have made, because all of it has been applicable to what I actually am able to do today. And I think if anything, becoming more and more relevant as all of this is kind of growing. And I think that's just a testament of just how quickly things kind of change, and how kind of, I don't want to say like being general, but I feel like I kind of have general kind of degrees, but they very much can be tailored to then have purpose and streamline kind of effect within the conversations or different kinds of like tasks or projects that I kind of get thrown my way. And I think if anything, like I would just share, like, you don't have to go necessarily by a blueprint, and it's totally fine to just kind of chart your own path. Things are hopefully getting a little bit easier, and people are becoming more knowledgeable, because you know, my day, I feel like nobody knew what the heck I was talking about when I was like, hi, I play this game for over 16 hours a day and I happen to be really good at it. What does this mean? Or other times where in the previous game that I played, which is called Guild Wars 2, it's an MMO, I was like a guild leader of some of the top guilds for raiding, PvP, World v World, and I was 14 years old. So,
Wow.
you know, how those skills or, you know, those experiences that shaped like my childhood, my teenagedom, and my young adulthood of value into my, like, again, my professional career, and how can I kind of make a living off of that, is something that like I'm really kind of hoping to push to be more concrete and upfront within the esports landscape, because it's kind of very elusive, and especially for people of color, people of femme, or just marginalized identity in general. And so I'll get off my TED Talk soapbox, but
Yeah,
like things
yeah,
that I
thank you.
to change in the space in the future through, you know, companies like the gamehers and all of our work individually. So
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I do think you could still say that you're in your young professional era. I haven't shared my age, because if 40 is ancient, then I'll keep mine quiet.
No, esports
I'm,
ancient,
I'm
not
close to
actual
the next
ancient.
big milestone, but
Yeah.
like almost very close to that one. So, um, but what I'll say is I actually think that's something, all of it, that's great about this this industry. I came to it more in the, I have teenage gamers that in my house. And Naya, you're a real role model. I think a lot of the things that you said really stand out to me. For one, that we don't live in a world where people tend to, I think in a lot of industries, go and work one place for like 40 years, but it did used to be that way, right? Like, what's your career that you're doing for life? But the other thing is you take advantage of opportunities. You've gotten incredible funding. and you've got great degrees, and you'll make them work in ways that that I can't wait to watch. So thank you for just sharing all of that and being such an incredible role model. I think that I would love to, if you are open to it. I know a few of you answered the last question. I'd love to throw something else out just before we have a few more minutes. I want to hear from everybody at the end. We'll talk about like what's coming up and where can we find you. But Julie, I'm going to throw something at you that I feel like you might have a neat answer for. And let me know what you think. We work in an industry collectively, I think, that kind of can be viewed as like, you know, it's cool, it's gaming, it's video games, it's even like glamorous sometimes feels like. One second, honey. And okay, I don't have one. Speaking of my kids, here's my son. And that's major. What are the things that aren't glamorous? Like what's chaos? What's behind the scenes? How do you, you know, what do you actually do that people would be surprised about? Because you and everyone on this call are such just sort of like incredibly, you know, just successful role models and really amazing people to be on here. And so I think sometimes people might be surprised. Well, actually some things that I do are this.
Yeah, there's a lot of the nitty gritty kind of dirty, you know, stuff that we do. I know Naya, Danielle, I don't know Boogie very well. Jen, we all do event planning, right? And event planning is Boogie, there you go, right? It's long hours of phone calls and, you know, asking for sponsors or asking people to help, and just early mornings or late nights, depending on what side of the coast, you know, you are in on the US, kind of thing. I would say the setting up of, you know, the activations that we do. Jen spends hours upon hours at I don't know how many conferences, right?
Cable management OCD.
Right, it cable management, yeah, right. It's the what people see is the pretty side of the things, right? And it's everything that goes on in the background, you know, ensuring that you've got casters that are, you know the game and can execute, making sure all of your devices are running, you know, and that's just event management. You know, a lot of I do curriculum writing. I'm helping right now to write 2 different programs, you know, and so like it's a lot of back and forth and okay, here's iteration 1 and that comes back and so there's a lot of time spent on video calls or phone calls or text messages, you know, when things don't go right, you know, it's scrambling to find people to fill in last minute, to help you with this, you know, this thing or the next thing. You know, there's just a lot. Something Lori, hi Lori, by the way, posted is that, you know, for our involvement in the esports community and sharing the knowledge. And I think every single one of us is all about that. And that's the, you know, outside of, you know, serving the students, you know, or the people in our community, it's sharing the knowledge that we have, because we're only going to get better together. If we stay in silos, then we're never going to succeed. And so I think when we look at that, like a lot of people will say, well, Julie, how do you know, you do so much, you know, and I'm like, well, true, but it all weaves together if you're smart about it. And that's I think the key is you have to learn how to take all these strands and all these pieces and kind of weave them together and create not just the community, but that support network also behind you, whether it's your family or your friends or your coworkers or what, you know, in this case, like, you know, for example, 4 of the other women here on this call, right? That I know personally, and that it one way or another, like we've supported or helped each other out, right? That's not by accident. I'll also say a lot of time I spend networking. I'm a connector kind of by trade. I want to say that's my thing, but you know, that takes a lot of work. And so it's not glamorous by any means. It's
Yeah.
it's
Thank
putting
you
yourself
so
out there.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, to give a little like clarity into why I asked that, you alluded to this. I think that there are parts of it that are glamorous. It is a fun industry. We are happy to be working in things that we're passionate about. Um, Also, though, sometimes I think it seems like unattainable or inaccessible. And when I think about the things that have gotten me to where I am today, a lot of it is meeting people like you, asking you what you actually do when you wake up in the morning. Like, and you're just telling me, well, some of it is like getting on the phone and making sure I have casters and all of these things. Not that it's a question of, do you know it? Are you educated? Have you hard? Is it hard? Is it whatever? But it's just like really getting into the nitty gritty of like, what do we actually do on a day-to-day basis? And then also, how can we all support each other? And yes, it is like very, very cool and heartwarming, and something that fills me with gratitude to know that so many people on this call prior to this were, have connected and worked together in quite deep ways. Boogie, do you want to add anything to that, or you can kind
Oh
of
boy, do
take us out before we do the final goodbyes?
so when it comes to event planning, so I also host like Apex tournaments, whether it's for charity or kill races, any of that, trying to gather 60 people or at least 20 people to find their team, and you give them a month, is probably the most unglamorous thing you could possibly do. Finding the casters, making sure that they have what they need, production wise, anything. I tell my community all the time, like if I go ghost for like a week, I'm planning something and I can't even talk about it because I don't want to lose no track of anything. I feel like if I go backwards, I lose everything that I had going forward, you know? So definitely just, and I do a lot of virtual events. I recently did
Yep.
an activation in Baltimore for or Twitch streamers. So it was powered by Twitch and he had everything. Even setting that up and I had everything written down was the most uncanny headache part of it. You know, I done went through 4 bottles of water to make sure I stayed hydrated because I didn't know what headache it was. And a lot of people, they take, not, I don't want to say take for granted, but they appreciate what they do see until you explain everything that goes on. And then it's like, oh, I didn't, you make it look so easy. It's what I usually hear. I'm like, I know because I know what I went through to get here. It wasn't an easy
Yep.
road. This wasn't, trying to find spaces that had everything I need, finding spaces that wasn't far from me because I don't stay in Baltimore. So I had to prep like I was going to a cookout, a picnic, or a field trip for a week to just
Yeah.
go to Baltimore for 4 hours, So just trying to make sure you think of all the different elements before you actually put something in the planning, and just being confident in your planning is one of like the two things where when I sit to myself and I'm like, okay, I want to do this, I have to sit in a corner for like a good 4 hours and be like, okay, is this what I really want to do? Why do I want to do this? Who would I ask for help? You start talking to yourself like you in 4 padded rooms, but these are the things that you have to do just to succeed for a day, no matter how long it is. So that's why I went
Yeah.
as soon as she said, I was like, I can agree wholeheartedly.
Well, I think that's great advice. Just thank you again all for coming. I think what we're going to do with the last few minutes is, and I'll go first, which is what a 1 minute each, kind of what's coming up. If you want to say something specific, where to find you. I'm going to do something kind of funny. So the gamehers, we have our good friends at Zenni, which I know some of you work with. I'm going to put on my Zenni sunglasses, which I love. I'm inside now, but that's them. Now I have to take them off so I can see again. We have a code for Zenni, and I'd love to share it with anyone who's watching, just because you can get a 10% discount if you use the code gamehers at the checkout. So I think that we put that in a lot of our content, in the chat and all of that. But I figured I would just say it in case anybody wants to use it. Zenni's awesome, and they're such a great partner. The other thing is we are, the gamers, we're very focused on amplification and and figuring out who's doing what and making sure everyone knows about it in connections. But also we like to just host game nights. And we are hosting a game night this Friday, playing Fall Guys at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So join us if you're free. Thanks all of you for coming. And just we'll go around the screen. Danielle, you can go first. What's coming up on your plate?
Well, the school year starts. That's in August. We know PTSD from last year. No, our students are great. I have a great staff. Jen already gave a shout out to them. They're amazing humans. And NACE convention, I'm actually the convention planning chair. That's happening in Dallas, and that's almost done. Got to use my project management skills in action. And from a personal standpoint, I finished my last class for my MBA in the fall. So I will be done October 12th, and then I walk in December, and then I will think about the next step. I'm not going to say it on stream because there's a lot of people watching. So, and I want to be committed. Like, what if I decide I don't want to get a doctorate yet? So, then maybe, try to get some curriculum here and try to potentially convince Jen to come have a Minecraft tourney here. I said it on stream, so it has to come true. Yeah.
Love it. All right, Jen.
Yeah, thank you. And actually funny, I am wearing my zennies that I got at DreamHack the other year. They are my go-to for blue light. But for me, so I'm always bouncing all over the country, different conferences. But the next, I would say, big one that I'm hoping to attend is the last week of October in Atlanta. It's Esports Summit. It's a great mix of education and industry. So would love to see you all out there. The great thing is when you buy your tickets to that, you also get tickets to DreamHack. So win-win.
That's right.
But I also want to throw out there, mostly I work with school districts, but I'm a big believer in the community and helping share experiences, anything like that. So to anyone out there, please feel free to always reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can always email me, whatever. If you want to talk about making connections, maybe you're trying to get into some different industries and don't know where to start, please feel free to reach out. There might be a little bit of a delay in getting back to you, but I'll do my best. When I'm home, I'm always responding. When I'm at a conference, it is what it is. But that's kind of at least what's on my agenda for the fall.
Awesome. Thank you. Julie?
Same, I'll be at Esports next, but before that will be the Sim Expo that's going to be in Chicago. So it's all, sim racing, VR, AR, XR, you name it. Pretty excited about that as well. And then even before that, just putting together, so I'll be rolling out curriculum for Hado, which is AR dodgeball, working with them across the nation actually now to roll out curriculum and their programs to K-12 and collegiate as well. It's a true crossover of esports and physical sports. So yeah, just a lot of things, and getting ready for schools to start and conferences to start hitting.
We
I
get to
know,
see each
it's
other
coming.
IRL.
Yeah, and dinner with Danielle in the next couple weeks. I'm about 5 minutes from her right now.
Oh, so cool. Boogie, what do you got coming up?
I got a few things. So I'm working with Blurs Unite because I'm one of the content creators for them. We're doing another installment of our block party, which is like a whole weekend of whatever you want to host, you can do it. We give you the space for it. And I'm gonna be working on doing an Apex tournament for that one. I normally do just like kill races where a couple teams sign up, but this one I kind of want to like fill up the lobby. I do plan on doing a Neo cosplay as I play Tekken. Just a quick little lore. I got to meet Neo in Tekken. I beat him up. And this is just my dedication because I'm such a Neo fan. So I have like the ball cap and the hat and everything. So I'm just gonna be playing Tekken as Neo. And I'm gonna start planning. So fingers crossed that I go to TwitchCon. I will definitely be at DreamHack. That's one of the ones I always go to, DreamHack Atlanta. So I'll be there, but definitely want to plan for TwitchCon. So fingers crossed for that. And then Oh, and then I started school again. I'm forcing myself to go back to school to get whatever
Fantastic.
degree I sign up for. So
Congrats. That's awesome. All right, Naya.
All right. So I think most immediately for hang on, I think I'm lagging. Okay. So most immediately, yesterday I actually kicked off my summer camp in partnership with the Black Collegiate Gaming Association, BCGA, and the LA Sparks. We're hosting a Girls Got Games summer camp, and I'm going to be working with the girls the next 3 weeks, just kind of introducing them to esports and teaching them how to like get better at games. So we're hosting at the Boys and Girls Club of Los Angeles. So this is our second year doing it. So I'm very excited to be doing that yet again, and hoping the girls get a lot out of it, during the summertime. And in a week or two, also in between all of this, I will be speaking at the Las Vegas Esports Summit in just a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that and meeting some of the folks down there, especially at the Global Gaming League, to see what they got going on. And other than that, a lot of conferences are also on my docket, and I feel like I just added 4 more.
Yeah, I
on my
know.
list.
It's so
I'm
hard to
hoping to
Nachos.
put all of them, right? Well, with
Yes.
that, we will, I look forward to seeing all of you at some of the events we talked about. I so genuinely appreciate your time. Really fun to chat, and look forward to next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, viewers.
Thank you, everybody.